Hey guys, what's up? My name is Casey. I'm so glad you joined us. We are recording from Fort Wayne, Indiana. I have my little brother here, Keegan, and we're just going to take this time to get to know Keegan, get to know what he's doing, and also see and hear about how the Lord has worked in and through his life. So I'm really excited to talk with him and give you guys the opportunity to know him better. Now, some of you may know him. He's come down to Prattville several times, and he's played music for us and just hung out with us, and so I'm excited for us to get to know him on a deeper level. So Keegan, without further ado, how many years have you been my brother?
Very long time.
Yeah.
Very long time.
What would you say your greatest childhood memory of us is?
My greatest childhood memory, there's a lot of them. I can't specifically pinpoint a certain time, but I think just playing outside a lot. I know that's a very broad answer.
No, we had a lot of adventures in the woods.
Right. Building
ramps out of Dad's good woods and things like that.
Playing outside and shooting airsoft guns.
Yeah.
And just running around and going crazy outside. I really value a lot of that time. It was a great time well spent. So I can't pinpoint one specific thing because there were so many, but overall
the good old days, I miss them.
Yep.
Wish we could go back for a day or two to just hang out and play airsoft and not have any responsibilities, you know. So Keegan's actually a musician, as most of you know. So he is in Nashville at Belmont. But as many of you know, a lot of the colleges have closed. And so Keegan, how has kind of the last, 2 months been doing school online and things like that?
Well, as far as school goes, I really prefer the in-person classes, but as everyone knows, this is how things are going for now. So as far as online school has been, I've just finished up last week, and so that's kind of nice to have so much more time to just do music. Although online school I thought was a lot easier than in-person. That was the only plus, but I do miss seeing my professors and seeing friends. And as far as music goes and quarantine in general, it's been pretty normal for me because as a musician, quarantine's typically the state that I'm in, so it's been normal for me. I was able to bring home all my gear to Fort Wayne, so I've been able to continue my process of recording and writing music and playing. The biggest thing is just there's a concern for people who might be sick, or I'm just hoping for protection for people, and that's the biggest thing has changed. Just kind of the unsteadiness of not knowing who might be sick and who might not be sick, and just making sure that I'm taking the necessary precautions to stay safe and keep my family safe. So that's the biggest thing to change, but musically not much has changed, which is a blessing.
Because you used to grind a lot just by yourself, recording and editing and making sure the sounds are right, staying up late and things like that. I remember those days. Since you're a musician, since you're music, I gotta ask you, what's your kind of top Christian song that's playing around on the airwaves right now?
I really like Graves into Gardens by Elevation.
Okay.
That's probably my favorite song.
That's a really good song. It's a really good song. Kind of it's powerful the way they put scriptures into words and things like that.
Right.
So Keegan, what is your main instrument that you play, that you've been trained on and you're most proficient on?
Well, I would argue probably between voice and piano. Piano is definitely one I've had the most formal training on, just studying it in school and then taking lessons for years. That's the instrument that I would say I'm the most well versed in. But voice is kind of my main instrument as far as the one that I'm hoping to use the most in my career. Because as an artist, the most distinctive thing is the human voice, and it's the thing that most people can recognize you by more than anything.
More than you piano playing.
Exactly. So voice is the main thing I'm banking on, but piano is probably my main instrument as far as proficiency and technicality and all that. But I need both of them to do what I'm trying to do, because piano and voice are both super integral to the songwriting process and to who I am as an artist. So I can't really choose one or the other. Those are my two main ones.
Yeah, for sure. So how many instruments can you actually play?
Well, there's voice and piano, and the guitar is another instrument that I love to play. And so those are the three that I mainly choose to play when I record and I go out and perform. And I'm proficient in some other instruments like bass. I definitely can't play the drums. I would never put myself in the drums. I wish I could, but those are probably the main three, with a close fourth. I guess you could consider a fourth being bass.
Nice. So Keegan, in this time of quarantine, have you been able to keep up with your friends and keep up with kind of other artists you've been working with and things like that?
Yeah, because as everyone knows with technology and Zoom, I'm sure people are getting familiar with, it's pretty easy to stay connected. I do miss getting to sit down like we are now face to face with friends, or sit down in a booth and eat food with some friends, or record. But I have been able to stay connected with my youth group that I lead back in Nashville, and a lot of my close friends, and also just staying connected through social media, recording with other people, because nowadays it's easiest sending a song to somebody and saying, hey, go ahead and record your vocals over it, and literally text me back your vocal file, and I'll take that and drag it into my session, and it's as easy as that. So I've been able to maintain collaboration that way. Yeah, it's been great.
Alright, so Keegan, I kind of want to move away from music and things like that, and I want to start talking about your faith. Now, when would you say kind of your faith became your own? Like, this is the relationship with Christ I want to have. It's no longer mom and dad making us go to Sunday school and church, and no longer us having to listen to stuff. It's more the I want to.
Yeah, I think that I can't, kind of like you said earlier with us having childhood memories, I can't necessarily pinpoint a date or a specific season of my life or an aha moment, but I think it's always been a gradual just becoming of who God wants me to be. Even to this day, I think each and every day I'm learning more about the heart of God and the mind of God, and kind of, figuring out what that means about who I am. And I think that's very much continuing to this day. I think the corner started to be turned in high school, because that's when I led my own group of guys, and by really I was teaching a lot them, and by teaching I think that's the best way to learn. And so when I was teaching people and being a leader, I think what that really helped me learn is a lot about myself, and a lot about the words I was saying to teach these guys. I was weighing it against my own conscience and learning different things. And so it's a process that continues to today. Just reading and learning, and it's a process that's really fun, but it's also a challenge, and it's a challenge that I'm hopefully embarking on for a lifetime. So.
Yeah, definitely. That's awesome. What has been kind of a verse that has just brought you peace? Just kind of like, I don't want to say you're cliche like this is your Bible verse, but that verse that just really speaks truth and gives you life.
There's several verses that I really enjoy. I'm trying to think of a verse that pertains to peace. Like you said, I think one that comes to mind is the search me, O God, and know my heart and my anxious thoughts. And I think that's been kind of a motto for me when I'm either feeling anxiety or feeling restlessness, to just kind of sit down in the quiet place and say, just search me, because we think that we're in control of everything. We think that, or at least I do. I'm speaking for myself. I think that
I think a lot of people fall into that though.
Right. I think I'm in control of my own destiny sometimes. I think I know everything there is to know about myself. But when we put ourselves in a vulnerable place and say, search me, and we open it up to somebody outside of ourselves and say, just search me and know my heart, that really says, okay, I'm not in the driver's seat anymore. I'm surrendering. I don't know everything there is to know about the world and myself, and somebody else does. And so it's taking a back seat and saying, search me and uncover the things that I might not even know are causing me distress, or are causing me this anxiety or restlessness. And so, especially in a time right now, I feel like that's very pertinent to what's going on.
I think there's a lot of restless people, anxious hearts.
Exactly. So just say, search me, and I think that position of surrender, it seems like it makes you super vulnerable, which could lead to more anxiety, but really when you put yourself in that position of surrender and take your hands off and have open hands, that's when I feel that you have the most peace.
Yeah, so. and just letting God, well, the funny thing is, or the matter of the fact is, God knows your heart. So when you ask Him to search it, it's more of, you're saying, taking that step of surrendering, because He already knows what your heart is. He already knows your anxious thoughts. He already knows what stresses you out and what's on your heart. But it's saying, hey, I have that step of faith of saying, Lord, I'm surrendering these anxious thoughts and these stressful moments to you, so that you can come in and give me that peace I desire. And so I love that you went to that verse, because I think it's just something that speaks truth during this time. I think there's a lot of people out there who are feeling restless and feeling anxious, so I love that you brought in that verse, because the Lord knows our heart and He knows our mind, and so it's that act and that step of faith of saying, Lord, I surrender, even though I know you already know everything, I need to surrender that to you. So I love that, and I love that you brought that up. So Keegan, what's one piece of advice, words of wisdom that you'd have for the students and the viewers watching from all over during this time, as we don't know what's coming next?
Yeah, I would just encourage people to have a kind of a perspective change, because right now I think the overall perspective that I've witnessed just from social media and certain conversations is, when the heck am I supposed to do all the extra time? And then subsequently a bunch of time wasting things.
Binge watching.
Yeah, and there's time to relax, and I think I just encourage people to have their perspective change about, this is a gift really in some ways. Obviously there's people that are sick, and I really am concerned for people who are sick, and hope for protection over people, but there is a silver lining that this is a gift that we have so much more time to invest in people and our families,
relationships,
and I think there's a place for rest. You mentioned TV shows and stuff. I think there's a place for rest, but I encourage people to kind of take an active rest where they're intentional about making sure it's a constructive time, where they're spending time with people, investing in relationships, and making meaningful time with people, or meaningful time with themselves, whether it be in the quiet place reading the Word, or just reading a book, or there's plenty of things that can be done as far as projects and different things that, for me as a musician, it's been great for me to invest in something I've already been in love with for my entire life. But there's also certain things, maybe you're not a musician, you're thinking, how the heck am I supposed to use this time? Find something that's creative or fun, or a book that you've never really learned about, and just take time to invest in that. Because I think even if it's not something that's going to have necessarily a practical application in your life down the road, the exercise of going into new things and learning about them and taking time to just research and invest your time in creating something or learning about something, that's a very valuable skill. And so that's my thing. That's my biggest advice. And I guess I'll leave with a quote that I've known from a philosopher, Daniel Dennett. He said, "Find something bigger than you are, and invest yourself in it." And I think that's a big thing, because you take the example of God, that's obviously bigger than we are. We have so much time to invest in it. Or take, for example, like I said, music. That's something that's bigger than I am, and it's something I really love. And it's important we take our time to invest in it. And so just find something and really take the time to invest in it, even something that you've never done before.
Yeah, try new things, or try to repair those relationships, or build and strengthen those relationships, because relationships are bigger than ourselves.
Right, exactly.
I love that. That's a good quote. To find something bigger than we are and invest wholly into it. I love that. So I just want to thank you for being here. It is so awesome that I could celebrate your birthday with you and be here in Fort Wayne. So I'm so glad you guys tuned in and watched with us today. I hope this was encouraging. I hope this was informational. I hope this was just fun for you to watch and hear who Keegan is and what makes him who he is. Thanks for joining us. We hope you join us next week. And as always, stay safe, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you.